5, 6, 7, 8. Welcome, everyone. This is the Smart Public Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about life, advice, experiences, business, you name it, through the eyes of PR professionals. And today I've got my sidekick has been replaced to a new sidekick. Today I have Meredith Klein here with me on the pod, the author of Meredith the Media Substack. Many people, actually, Meredith, I have to tell you this right now. So I was doing a Comms People 2026 planning workshop today, and we were talking about, like, do we use Muckrack? Like, what do we use for our tools for databases, that sort of thing. And one of the women on the call said that she actually just uses Meredith the Media now to understand her journalists and like what matters to journalists. So excited to have you here. Welcome to the pod.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for having me. And I love your hat energy. You look really good in a hat. So
why wouldn't we do this? Why hasn't anyone else done this that has interviewed you lately?
I don't know. I mean, you are the first. So if we see it after, we saw it here first. Smart and public.
Nailed it. Well, Meredith, I'm going to start calling you Mayor also. We talked about
Call me Mayor.
I knew that this was going to be an amazing episode because we had our prep call earlier this week, everyone. And instead of doing like the regular 30 minutes, we ended up going like an hour and 15 minutes. And I was like, a couple of things we're going to learn. We're going to learn a lot about the journalist landscape. We're going to learn a lot about like what it takes to be brave, to step out of your comfort zone, to go out on your own and back yourself. We're going to learn also that like Mare and I are both like big, loud personalities. People are going to have to turn down their volume a little bit.
Jersey in the house.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah.
But I just knew it was an hour and 15 minutes of prep. And I was like, this episode's going to be a banger. So I'm so grateful to have you here. And Devasy sends her apologies that she couldn't make it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So would you mind? Let's start out just doing a little bit of your background.
Yeah, sure. No, so I have been in the communication space for 20 years. I cut my teeth on the agency side, worked at Golan, then went to a smaller shop, Makovsky, got pulled into a startup, Jet.com. That was my first real in-house, did everything from investor relations to corporate comms to social media. And then Jet was part of Walmart. So I came back from maternity leave, and unfortunately we had to close Jet down, and the team got absorbed into Walmart. I was then director of PR at Walmart, focused on all of their acquired and incubated brands. So Bonobos, Eloquy, Moose Jaw, Shoes.com, Art.com. It was super cool. From there, I actually supported Walmart's first ever chief product officer, did some cool stuff. And then in November 2020, I left to go to Pinterest, and I was at Pinterest for 4 years as U.S. head of consumer and product comms. Left Pinterest March 2024, started consulting, working with major brands on their media relations, executive thought leadership, just stuff I love to do. And then in May, I launched Meredith the Media, which is a Substack focused on media news, moves, trends, and exclusive interviews with journalists on what's driving their coverage. And I really was able to tap into that like 20-year Rolodex and background and, text some of my reporter friends like, hey, I'm starting a Substack. I don't know what I'm doing. Will you be an interview? And that's kind of the value of relations. And it's taken off from there.
I seriously cannot believe that it has been just since May that the Substack has been out. I feel like you are a part of everyone's day. Just a baby. No, I honestly, it's crazy to think about. What has your growth looked like since you started?
Sure. So I'm at around 3,000 subscribers in 6 months. We've hit 60,000 monthly views. And I'm amassing, I would say, between 500 and 600 new subscribers a month. So I'm on pace to have a, pretty successful year, and I'm really excited about it.
Yep.
I say we, it's only me, but figuring out, kind of our monetization play, because I don't ever want to paywall interviews with journalists, because I am genuine and I want to help PR people become better at their jobs and honestly just make like the PR and media industry better. Those won't get paywalled, and I spend a lot of time on those, and they're really my pride and joy. What will be paywalled is stuff like media news, media moves. It's $8 a month. That's $96 a year. You could sign your media team up as an alias for $80 a year. It's pretty cool. But right now I'm focused on kind of toggling, like I still need to grow. But where do I kind of come in and make money? Because I think, Katie, we talked about this before, but for the listeners, it takes me about 3 to 4 hours per interview. So I am sourcing interviews, reaching out, coordinating calendars, creating custom questions, doing the interview, editing the interview, having an editor edit the interview, uploading it, formatting it, scheduling it, cross-promoting it. So I'm looking at like 3 to 4 hours per interview. And I love it. And I drop an interview every single Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern without fail. It keeps me up late nights and over weekends. But right now I'm having so much fun. And I'm getting scoops. I'm literally having reporters pitch me and give me scoops. And, heads of comms at major publications reach out and give me leads on, new columns and media moves. And it's so much fun that, I really don't mind the extra work. I love it.
It's actually insane, the growth that you've had. And I think it shows that there's such a huge need for more education around kind of what you cover in Meredith and the Media. Like, I think people just really authentically want to get under the hoods of like what makes a journalist tick, like what is interesting to them right now. Because I feel like a lot of comms people, and maybe you'll agree or disagree with this, like journalists feel scary, like this weird necessary evil. Like people are really scared to like reach out to a journalist or be vulnerable in front of them.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, think about it when we were in our young 20s. I remember being an intern or an AAE and, calling, Good Morning America to try to get water in the green room. And they're like, do you realize you're calling in the middle of the show? Do you have any idea what time this show tapes? I'm like, clearly not. I'm just going down a list and making phone calls. So like I have had so many, I'm in my early 40s. I have had so many war stories of coming up in PR with like literally like going around New York City to every bodega looking for, a newspaper and doing the clips and being scared calling journalists because I'd get roasted on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
But the truth was, because I did that, because there was no AI automated media clipping service, I was literally pulling together a media list for 8 hours and I would remember those names and I would reach out and I was doing those calls. And I honestly, I'm so grateful that that's how I cut my teeth because I really learned it. So I feel like this generation, we're in an era of quasi remote work, right? You're not sitting behind an SVP and shadowing them the way I did, when I was coming up.
Yeah.
And you aren't going and reading what your boss is reading, which is like the New York Times. You are subscribing to Substack. You are getting news on TikTok, right? Yeah. So this is kind of giving the younger generation and all generations that inside scoop and meeting them where they are and their content consumption, right? Yeah. So it's like that perfect culmination of they'd rather get it through social media. Substack is basically social by that way. And they want quick hits. I'm not sitting here writing a monologue. I'm asking questions, giving direct answers. People are bookmarking it and coming back. Some of my first interviews are up to tens of thousands of views because people are coming back to it and new people are coming on. So
yeah. That's usually when I get your newsletter, I'll star it in my inbox and then I'll just go back through at one time and just kind of look through a bunch of them as well.
Exactly. Or a name comes up or a client name comes up and they're like, hey, what about Lauren Thomas at the Wall Street Journal? Where did I hear? And you go down and you see how she likes to be pitched and where she accepts pitches and the time she wants to get pitches.
Yeah, I also send it to clients and I'm like, we should get to know this person better. This is somebody that we should have on our roster, 100%. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about some of the lessons that you've learned since kind of crossing over, right? Mm-hmm. So you started out in comms and now you're kind of like a journalist, right? Basically, journalist. I don't know. How has that changed the way that you think about the comms industry, particularly from what you're hearing from journalists, but also now from when you're on the other side getting pitched?
Yeah. So I feel very privileged and almost emotional to the point where I'm getting pitched by agencies and by CEOs and by brands. And I'm like, oh my God, my first off-brand pitch, right? Or I got my first hi XXX. And I'm like, oh, should I save this? That's really cute, right? XX. And so what's happening, I'm also getting tons of inbounds, thought you'd be interested for this for your roundup. And it's like 5 paragraphs. So I think the thing we've always, as PR people, been like, keep the pitch short and tight. Now being on the other side, I'm like, God damn it, get to the point. Like, it is so onerous to get through these like long, hefty language. Like, oftentimes I'll use AI to say, like, give me a one-liner on X brand, right? And what I'm doing in the media roundup, especially if you're reading Meredith in the Media, it's 2 to 3 sentences max. So like you got to be really tight with that. If I have to spend a lot of time going through several paragraphs of a pitch to pull out 3 sentences, I might get disgruntled and just not include it. So I think what I've learned is the necessity of having a short, tight, to the point pitch is so critical. So even with the consulting, I'm like, I'll write a pitch and be like, cut it down. I'll even have to cut my own pitches down, knowing that I'm like, if I were scanning this, have I gotten to the point? Or are they like, Jesus Christ, am I like, still going? Don't bury the lead.
Yeah. I feel like hot take, Simon Sinek's like start with why has ruined everybody's pitches. I feel like everyone has this weird need to like explain the origin story of why this pitch is like a significant angle.
Yeah, I don't need some philosophic deep thing. Even with like client comments or client emails, like I get really anxious when I get a long email. I'm like, I asked you for like a case study. Like, what is the case study? I want a bullet point on the case study in a one line. So I think PR professionals, whether you're pitching a media outlet or a Substack or me, right? Super succinct, to the point. So like be on beat. I only cover media. I don't want to talk to your comms execs. I'm not going to interview your CEO, right? And like get it really snappy and to the point. One of the interviews I did with Siddharth Cavalli at Reuters, he said, I work at Reuters. I cover breaking news for Walmart and Target, like big box retailers. If you don't put Walmart or Target in the subject line, I'm not even going to read it. You have to spoon feed me. I'm so busy. He said you have to spoon feed me the story, right? Make it so easy for me. So I think that's the thing too. Make it so easy that in the event that they needed to just lift it, could they lift what you send them into an article?
I feel like for instances like that too, where you're pitching a journalist that has a very obvious specific beat, and it's almost like you get down the list and you're just like Hail Marrying, and that's when they start to get pitches from people that are not, that are not relevant in that way.
100%. I don't want to call out any amazing, media list services, but I did have one reporter, Alana Samuel, say to me, I get a ton of generic healthcare pitches. Now, she focuses specifically on family care, things like child care and, different, laws within that. You will get a random healthcare vitamin or pill pitch. And it's because syndicated services are like, healthcare reporters. Brrr. She's like, just take 1 extra minute to actually go to Time's website, look at my information, look at my byline, see what I'm writing. That applies to all, but I think that's what's happening is like, and that's why I do include media moves on Meredith in the Media, because I'm like, I shouldn't see someone who's like literally been at an outlet like 7 years ago still on this list if they're not there. And that's like, you should use it. You can use AI to do a poll. You have to check it. So many times they pull it and the AI and like the different online tools aren't actually keeping up with the pace of how quickly people are changing beats or outlets.
I also had a client tell me today, he was like, I tried to use Microsoft Copilot to write an email for me. And I asked it to also include the email addresses from like to the people in the draft, which is
okay.
So you think it's pulling from his Outlook email, right? I'm going on a tangent. Just follow me on this.
That's
one.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
And it made up the email addresses. They weren't right. He didn't realize that. So he sent an email and got like 4 bounce backs. And he like asked Microsoft Copilot, he was like, hey, like, why aren't these the right email addresses? Like, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have made that up, is what it said. And I was like, that's really fucking scary. Like, I don't know.
I think the thing is, like, everyone's like, AI is going to take my job. AI is going to replace this. Like, you still need someone to physically go through it. it's okay if you want to do a first draft of a press release, an email, LinkedIn post. It's okay to use that as like a starter. We all get writer's block and we're like, what do we do? But like you cannot use it verbatim, first draft, and hit it out. Like you've got to like double and triple check that, because big mistakes can be made. Stuff is outdated. Also too, I won't go on my AI tangent, but like have your own private like chat GPT, right? Like you've got to have like a paid login. Otherwise you're like literally pumping stuff into the ether, and it picks up based on citation, large language models, right? Like, different things that it can pull from. So, I won't go there, but anyway.
It's like a hard lesson to AI land. I feel like that tends to happen on this podcast sometimes, but I mean, such is the times that we're in. I want to ask you, just with the perspective that you have, like, what do you think, going back to journalists and kind of what they're interested in, what do you think the biggest disconnect is between kind of what PR people think journalists want versus what journalists actually tell you?
So PR people think that journalists want a great story, and they do. Journalists want a story that resonates with their audience. The amount of times the word audience has come up in my interviews, it's in like, I would say 8 out of every 10. And I actually just had a great conversation with Allison Carter, who's the editor-in-chief at Reagan and PR Daily. And she drove home the point, like, if it does not fit with our audience, I will not cover it, right? Because a large part is journalists are in this predicament where, yes, they can get a celeb or a CEO in a major story and that's buzzworthy and it's clickbait. But if it doesn't appeal to the audience, it's not going to resonate. Another really good example is Allison Chantel at Fortune. I was at the Haymaker Group Media Summit November 3rd, and she got a lot of questions from Peter Kafka about how are you like competing with Fortune? And she said, we are not for everyone. We are premium content for C-suite level individuals, right? They're not trying to bring everyone from all over to read. She knows her audience intimately, which is also why a lot of the content is behind the paywall, because these CEOs are reading it. Guess what? They all have a paid subscription to it. Yeah. So the audience factor is really important. And I think you can have a good pitch and a good story, and the reporter wants that too. But really what we should be thinking about as PR professionals is like, am I truly reaching the audience with this? And the audience going to take action and really resonate? So even when we're thinking of which outlet to go to, everyone's like, the Wall Street Journal, TechCrunch. It's like, actually, right? I actually used, going back to AI, I used AI to pull an audit on a personal finance brand. I said, give me a list of the top 10 placements that X brand has been in the past year. You would be surprised. My manual poll was different from my AI poll, and some of the ones that I pulled include Intuit's newsroom. So I said, we should be pitching Intuit's newsroom. This is wild, right?
Yeah.
NerdWallet came up, Kiplinger's, like hardly any like top tier. So I'm like, that's what's getting pulled through. That's what's getting pulled up. So also makes you rethink the Intuit newsroom. Okay, well, just based on like that audience and who's using Intuit and who's reading the news and, you know, the folks that they have there, again, that all drives back to audience.
Yeah. And I think as comms people too, it's not so much asking ourselves, like, yes, let's definitely, when we're thinking about our strategy, think about the audience, but like, how do we set expectations and push back on our executives that make the TechCrunch claims and the Wall Street Journal claims when they want to go for a big article?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we also got this one on social media. Like, how do you like say, well, actually, you should be going to a Substack or, you know, a trade or lesser known. And I think here's the thing. One, impressions in circulation are dead. No PR people are still using, this reached 9,467,237 UVM. If you are, I'm sorry. That got axed for me in 2018. I think I was at Walmart or Jet, and they were like, absolutely, like my boss was like, do not use that anymore. And I just stopped using that, because it's like, if you get an article in the Wall Street Journal, you might reach 2.1 million, whereas with a Substack or a newsletter, you are going directly into folks' inbox. They are subscribed, highly engaged, opted in. And I
Mhm.
think I would, and Katie, we talked about this, so technically you get the credit for the quote, but like I would rather reach 100 people that are highly engaged and going to take the intent than spray and pray to like 10,000 people who
Yeah.
might not see it, might not be interested. The other thing is people are no longer going to a CNN.com, not to pick on them, but they're getting stuff on their phone. So like
Yeah.
newsletters, skim-esque stuff, social media, Substacks, like that really is just a better way to reach. So oftentimes what I say to my clients is you can still do traditional media, but like let's create a mix. I love
Mhm.
creating what I call a surround sound strategy, where I might say, is there a legacy, media publication that really is just going to like nail it for us from an SEO perspective, from a headline, from an audience reach, from just like being a really good
Yeah.
way to tell the story. But like, what else are you doing? What's the podcast, Smart and Public? What's the
Yeah.
Substack? Upstarts Media with Alex Conrad. Like,
Yeah.
where are we sprinkling in these? I can't even call it new media anymore because it's not, but this less traditional, more vibey, highly engaged media like a podcast, Substack, newsletter. We're starting to do this across the board. I have added Substacks to all of my media lists. There's so
Yeah.
many good ones. I could rattle off several of them. And I think when I get a tough client that literally says to me, I'm making this up because I love Alex, what is Upstarts Media? I'll say, Alex Conrad was an incredible, tech and VC and startup reporter at Forbes for a decade. And he
Mhm.
left Forbes and he started Upstarts Media. And he is literally now breaking news, getting scoops, landing exclusives
Yeah.
more than the tech and VC outlets at traditional legacy publications because he has a reputation, he's got sources, he's got credibility. I talked to Alex the other week. Actually, I'm dropping an interview with him on Monday, and he is literally 4 to 5 weeks like behind lag time. Like he already has content for the next 4 to 5 weeks. So like
That's
you
so
want to
sick.
pitch him now, you're looking at a story in January,
And
because he's got that credibility and that reputation.
that kind of actually spurs a question in my mind around like pitching Substack media too.
Great.
So let's chat a little bit about that, because I think from a comms person perspective and what I hear out in the world is like it feels different. Like, but really, should it feel different? Should it feel the same? Like how do you recommend people reaching out to Substack authors?
Treat Substack journalists the same way you would treat a legacy journalist, because either one, they were legacy journalists. Like think about Casey Newton, who has the platformer. Think about Alex Conrad, who has Upstarts Media, Parisia Cavalance, who has Baggable, Alex Heath, who has sources. Now Jason Del Rey, he's on Beehive, but he's got the Isle. All of these individuals are from major publications, from Forbes to Fortune, The Verge, CNN. They all have gone independent and they have their own Substack or Beehive platform. And they still have that journalist, high integrity, ethical background where
Mhm.
they will agree to an embargo. They do want an exclusive. They still have the right sources. They absolutely have the influence. And if they break the news that you give them because you don't follow the, hey, can you agree to the embargo ahead of this, or, whatever, that's equivalent to a massive leak in your story getting out there. If Parisia Cavalance, who was at CNN for 24 years and now has Baggable, if she launches your, Black Friday predictions ahead of when you didn't tell her to do it, that's going to carry a high influence because number one, tons of folks read that. Number two, she's got CEO interviews and she's got a major influence. So like treat journalists the same way. Ask them if they want to get coffee or lunch. Ask them if they want to do a virtual on background. Take a look at their Substack. Do they do Q&A format or do they write it as an article?
It's a good shout.
Do they have a carousel where it's like looping and they're sharing other folks' journalists? What's their cadence? Are they doing a podcast? Get to know their format, and then reach out and, get to know them. 15 minutes coffee. But do not send them information that you wouldn't want to see on the front of what we used to say New York Times. Now it'd stay on the front of sources.
Yeah.
So treat them the same way.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And knowing that there are those lead times, like you talked about with Alex too, I think is really helpful, because in this world where you're recalibrating what Substack pitching looks like, it's good to know that there's still that like 4 week lead out time that Alex needs now if you're ever interested in being an upstarts.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I'm interested too. I was, trying to get in touch with like Alex Kantrowitz, who does big technology. Alex Heath, obviously, with Sources is brand new. But, and Jason at the Isle is brand new too. Figuring out how they want this to work, their cadence, their lead time. Everyone's going to be different, right? So this is like the relationship building remains the same. You've got to reach out. You've got to follow them, subscribe to them, read their work, engage with their work.
Yeah.
This brings us to kind of, one thing I'm really big on is like kind of the 2-hand rule. You've got 2 hands, one to ask for help, one to offer help, be ambidextrous. Same thing applies. Don't just be pitching reporters or Substackers all of the time. Be authentic and be like, hey, simply texting you to let you know that you crushed it with your story and I loved it. And like, it's top of the feed, right? Cool. Thanks. Nothing else. Not like, oh, but while I have you, like, let me tell you this, like, be like chill and cool. And you'll notice that you'll get a lot more respect and responses from it.
So that's a good example of like what the other hand that's offering looks like. Can you kind of walk through any other ways that you're just helping or like offering that support for journalists, just for people that are not used to doing that?
Sure. Yeah. So don't sleep on LinkedIn. I say this all of the time. I am obsessed with LinkedIn. I have it closed right now, which is giving me anxiety because I normally have it open like 24/7. But too many notifs. But what I do every morning, this sounds pathetic, every morning and before I go to bed is I literally go through my notifs, my messages, go through my feed. I engage with people's content. Oftentimes, if not in the morning, if I'm busy, definitely at night, I am following new people and connecting with new people. And secret tip, when you connect with someone, it adds a follower. So like the more people you're connecting with, you're adding followers. Yeah. And your LinkedIn is only as good as you make it. So everyone's like, post more on LinkedIn. I'm like, first, make sure you have an audience, right? Like you actually have to like spend the time building. So like step number 1, what interests you? PR and media, which outlets, which of your clients, what vertical are they in? Okay, so go, you work at United, great. Go follow all the airline reporters at every single outlet, right? Step 1 of just kind of building that. Step 2, read their content, engage with it, give it a like, give it a comment, have nothing to say, just give it a like. Step 3, reach out. You've been killing it with your stories lately. Like really love that. Would love if you could do a 15-minute coffee. Virtual school if we're all busy. Get that virtual coffee. Leave room to like, share some of your sources, but really just be like, hey, just like wanting to understand like what's the best way to work with you? Do you prefer exclusives? Like, what's your lead time? Like do you only cover, United or, what actually you're doing and get to know them. And then step 4 is like, keep in touch, right? Like don't only keep in touch when you have news, keep in touch regardless, right? I love when reporters are on stage and they're posting pictures. I love hyping them up. When they do a good story, I'm good for a repost or a comment. Now that I have the Substack, I'm really huge on, just kind of like sharing the insights there. Someone will reach out like, oh, like super pumped, like, like started this newsletter. I'm like, we're going to cover that, right? Can I get a quote from you? And people are like, oh, I'd be honored. It's like, because I'm following them, they're following me. So media relations, public relations, the relationship has to sustain. So you got to build your LinkedIn up. You got to be engaging authentically with folks, like be very okay, like reaching out, hyping them up and asking for nothing in return. And you got to build up your LinkedIn because like, again, like you're speaking to no one if you're doing that.
Well, and that's a big thing that, since you started with Meredith in the media, and that's probably around the time, that May timeframe when we connected anyways, but like on LinkedIn.
Right.
But building up your personal brand is so important even when you have a large role or you're at a job. Like it's not the in-between moments that are going to give you some kind of like brand credibility. I guess, how has that felt for you, being authentically you, stepping out, wearing the hat, like building a personal brand? Like what has that felt like for you? from a vulnerability standpoint, from all of it.
It's electrifying. I can say, I mean, I thought 4 years ago, I was at kind of the height of my career as U.S. head of consumer and product comms at Pinterest. I loved it. It was a great job. I had a great team. I had a lot of fun. No regrets. I had about 1,400 followers on LinkedIn, and every week I was like, Pinterest did this, Pinterest did that. I was genuinely proud. We were doing some really cool shit.
Yeah.
But I was talking in a vacuum just about my brand, and everyone's like, okay, like, cool, we get it. You work at Pinterest, you do cool shit. That's exciting. At the time, I didn't think anything of it, right? Because I was just proud to pump it out. And you should do that. You should share your work wins. But we are in a day and age. I mean, I feel so bad. Verizon just announced like 13,000 layoffs today. I got a bunch of text messages yesterday. People are getting laid off. Like, it's the worst ever. They say that every year. Truth is, you got to get your house in order. No one is safe. You could be amazing at your job. You could have saved the company. You could have pulled together the team, interimly and made it all work and done it with a smile on your face while you were, your bones were breaking as you had the weight of the world on your back.
Yeah.
Your number still is going to get punched, right?
Totally.
And don't take it personally. Okay, how does that work? But you got to have your house in order, right? And I think the biggest thing is like you've got to have a comms plan for yourself. And this is the biggest thing. Everyone's like, how are you doing this? I'm like, the same way that we would write a comms plan for an executive or for a brand, write it for yourself. Yep. You'd be surprised the amount of people that will not do that. They just won't do that. They are stricken by fear. So when I left Pinterest, I literally wrote a comms plan. I'm like, who am I? Who do I want to be? How do I answer these tough questions? Where should I be? And I literally was texting, Amanda Coffey, Michael K, Sabrina Brandt, all people being like, Justin Joffe, where do I need to be? And I started getting myself invites to networking events, panels, awards, breakfasts, this, that, and photo didn't happen. Putting up photos. And I was dying inside the first few weeks and months. And I'm just like, look at me at this industry conference. I'm so happy, right? But the truth is that was part of the comms plan. And just like a startup company, when you're trying to get your name out there, I already had a great reputation from being in comms for 20 years, but the truth was I needed a reinvention. Yeah. And for a while I was just like, where can I show up? I started posting more on LinkedIn. And honestly, I went from 1,400 followers as U.S. head of consumer product comms at Pinterest to I have over 14,000 now. And I think, Katie, the truth is the cords were cut. There was nothing holding me back. This Jersey girl was ready to go. I was adding humor and satire and saying the thing that everyone was thinking or feeling because I wasn't going to get in trouble. I was my own person. And people felt that authenticity and the relatability. So LinkedIn, I really kind of built that authentic personal brand. And I was interviewing for different jobs. I was getting speaking ops. And I was like, former Pinterest and Walmart exec. I'm like, they're getting a little too much airtime, for my at this point, right? I got to do something different. And in April, I had, I was close to getting a head of comms role at a celebrity founded brand. It was going to be awesome. That was going to be my watch me win moment. And I saw some red flags that in my 20 years, I'm like, that we're not going to do that, right? Yeah. I'm gonna pivot. Yeah. Pivoted. And literally the knee-jerk reaction from that pivot in April was I took a photo, started generating this idea, put it like spaghetti on wall on LinkedIn, said I'm launching a Substack. And it amassed 10,000 views and 400 likes. And I'm Googling how to write a Substack. I'm like, oh shit, I'm actually gonna have to do this.
I love this, by the way. You were building the plane as you were flying it. And I think a lot of people would look at you and say, she had a plan, she knew what she was doing. And I think a lot of comms people we all have so much opportunity to share information and grow our industry and the knowledge share around our industry. If we all just act a little bit like Mare in this instance and really just start doing things rather than trying to plan perfectly.
I love that you said that. And I love that you stopped me, because that is the perfect moment to say you have to go unabashedly all in. If you are worried about what someone in high school thinks or your former colleague thinks, that will stop you from greatness. Right? You have to not be worried what other people thinks. People will be like, "Oh my God, you're crazy with that video," or "Oh, that's cringe." I don't care. Right? Like,
Yeah.
look where it's gotten me, right? Go unabashedly all in. And yes, while you do need to get your house in order, and it is great to have a comms plan, you don't need to have a fully baked, fully executed plan before you start. Like, if you're like, "Hey, I'm launching a podcast and like it's going to be fun," and it doesn't work, okay. Like, that's fine. Like, that's fine too, right?
Yeah.
I think fear paralyzes people. People are worried what others think. People are too complacent. I mean, Gary V talks about this all the time,
I love
right?
Gary V.
I love him, and like he's just so real, and he's like, honestly, like people won't do it because they're scared to fail. They're scared of
Yep.
what other people are going to think, and I think part of that is like I don't care what other people think. I'm not scared to fail, and I feel the only way you fail is if you don't try. And I come from an athletic background. I played Division I sports. I've been coach. I've been captain, and I am an Aries firstborn daughter from New Jersey. So Jesus Christ, hallelujah, where's the Tylenol, right? It is like Phoenix rising. So for me, what was the alternative? I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money coming in. I was consulting, which was cool. Had one foot here, one foot there. But then I was like, that's it. The time is now. The universe was just pushing me in this direction. I'm thankful for every job I interviewed for that I did not get, because I would not be here.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thinking about kind of building up your own brand, thinking about building relationships with journalists, if someone was just getting started or someone wants to start pivoting, like what events should they be considering as a comms person? How should they start to figure out what that physical presence looks like?
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, like, again, back to just like putting pen to paper. It doesn't have to be the perfect comms plan, but like, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in PR? Do you want to stay in-house or agency? Do you want to go independent? Do you want to be an author? Do you want to be a Substacker? Or like, are you looking for a full-time job or consulting? You kind of have to decide that. I was at a point where I was interviewing and spending like 30 hours on like interview prep and interview loops, consulting, trying to make money, it was too much. And my heart wasn't in all of it.
I feel like consultants who are still looking for full-time jobs never succeed as consultants because they never like fully commit. So I completely agree with you. You got to pick a lane.
Pick a lane. Yeah. And you gotta go all in. And then just start thinking about like, what are your goals? Where do you want to show up? Where do you see yourself, 6 to 12 months later? And if you really want to get back in-house, you got to keep beating that drum with reaching out on LinkedIn and coffee with former coworkers and the alerts and all of that. In terms of where you want to show up, obviously we're talking to a PR audience. Like, I mean, Axios, PR Week, Reagan, PR News, they all provoke. They all have amazing events. I mean, Axios kills it with like, some of their like media panels and events. I love Eleanor Hawkins, everything her and the team are doing. PR Week is still cream of the crop. They're amazing. They have so many opportunities out there. Reagan, obviously, I was just at the Future of Communications conference. They've got the PR Daily conference. Actually, they're doing, events in Brooklyn and kind of moving them, all around. And they have a lot of awards programs. There's a lot out there. And there's also my good friend Amanda Coffey, who writes the Substack Bury the Lead. Her Substack is dedicated, to a lot of stuff, industry news and insights, and she's got a great pulse on sponsors and what brands are doing and reports. But a big thing that she talks about is industry events. I have never seen someone more networked than her. Literally like 4 nights a week, every week she is somewhere and she covers
Seriously? That. Yeah, I feel like I see her
Wanderlust. She's currently in Singapore, and she was in Austin with me the week before. But she is hosting a series of different breakfasts, lunches, happy hours, and because she comes from such a great background, eBay, PayPal, Under Armour, She knows everyone. She knows all the reporters. She's got the connection. So these sponsors are starting to really say like, hey, like, how do we partner? And actually Amanda and I are doing a lunch series in 2026, and there'll be ops for comms folks to come. Like every Friday, there's going to be like a lunch or a breakfast or something. So we're going to be sharing that. And it is the best way. You want to get on that inner circuit, that inner circle. I also think right now everything's really centric to New York, but we're trying to figure out meetups in San Fran, meetups in DC, meetups in, Boston or Baltimore. And there's a lot of opportunities there. Daniel Mendes also is doing some work to bring folks together in the New Jersey area because everyone's sick of going into New York. So there's a lot of folks you can follow. He's a good one too. A lot of folks you can follow that are posting about events. Amanda's a really good one. And honestly, there's so many that you can go, but you got to start getting on that circuit. You got to start connecting on LinkedIn. I hate the word click, but there's definitely circles on LinkedIn who like are constantly on LinkedIn, constantly posting, constantly commenting, constantly hyping people up. And that opens the door for, do you want to be on this panel? Do you want to come to this happy hour? There's so many professors, Monique Kelly and Michael Kay. There's so many professors who like literally have jobs and then, also do this, who are teaching, who want to bring guest speakers on. There's a content op for that. And then everyone else wants to be part of it. So it's cyclical. But I think LinkedIn, following, Bury the Lead and, some others, being part of the different, PRSA, PR Week, Axios circuits are important. You'll see a lot of the same people there, and you got to, kind of be in those circles.
I love that tip because what a lot of people think about in terms of going and bonding with journalists is they're like, I have to go to Information's WTF and like all these expensive ones, travel around, when really now the way that our industry is actually turning is like the Amanda Coffees of the world are actually hosting their own meetups with journalists. So in that, I guess I'm going to put you on the spot, but I'll spitball with you as well. But like, what are some of the Substacks then off the top of your head of comms people they should be following that will evolve into these types of events? So like there's obviously Amanda Coffees.
Bury the Lead. There's Joseph Gallo, Brian Kramer. They have comms and newsletters. Amanda Coffee has Bury the Lead. Michael Kay has Blurring the Lines. Whitney Wells has Coffee with Comms. Jana Mansueto has, I think, Under Embargo. Gob Faree has Off the Record, which is more of a platform, but it's got, a bestie chat. She's great in the circles. Lauren Kleinman at Dream Days got a good Substack as well. There's a lot. We could probably I could probably pull like a list of stuff, together too, of folks that should be followed that just are kind of on the pulse of it.
Yeah.
I also, whenever I do like a Substack or LinkedIn post, I feel like there's a handful of comms folks that have a newsletter, or like you, like a podcast, right? That pull from it and include it. That's really good information. Like Joe and Brian do really good like recaps of, big things in PR that happen, whether it was like a crisis or a campaign or, an article and a pull through. And obviously like the Tanya and Emily's of the world and, the Janas and, a few others really get deep into kind of like how to do PR, which is great. So, and there's going to be more. I mean, I think that's the thing, Katie, like there's going to be more. Unfortunately, there's going to be more layoffs, or people are just going to be like, I got to jump on this bandwagon, right?
Totally.
Substack, I mean, I hope Substack thrives forever, but Beehive is really kind of buzzing up their butt, if you will. And there's a lot of monetization options. I mean, Kaya Yuriev, launched Scalable on Beehive, and Jason Del Rey chose Beehive for the aisle because there's just great tools and infrastructure and a better monetization pyramid than Substack. So interested to see that. There's also, I just did a call today with Graphy, and you can kind of build your own website, and you can build in this like, do a webinar, do an infrastructure, host a course, host a class. Like you're going to see a lot of this. Diane Schwartz, CEO of Reagan PR Daily, said to me last week in Austin, everyone's a publisher.
Yeah.
Like you're a publisher. Everyone's a publisher. So I think that culmination of take your expertise, take your passion, take your drive, go unabashedly all in, and use your network to just give it a go. Find a niche. There's too many copycats coming up. I'm not the first and I'm not the only, but like, if you're copying what someone else is doing, like you're not going to get too successful because it's hard to meet that. But if you're doing something that's unique, or your brand, or it feels super authentic, or it's bridging a gap, or filling a need, run with it. You got to be a little patient, but run with it.
It's just like anyone would advise for their executives with their own thought leadership programs that they're building out for them. Like, what is your niche? What do you specialize in? And then also, the more that you're talking about that and showcasing and having examples of like why you are the expert in your field and an authoritative voice, like employers will also find you that way too. Like, it's not just about building a brand because you need a job. It's like, this is what is going to carry you from job to job, and people will already feel like they know you when they ask to interview you. Like,
that's so true.
I just think there's such an opportunity to think about it from a business perspective too, because like someone that's not in comms will be like, hey, that girl's smart. I want her. Like, why isn't she on our team?
You know what the biggest thing is? I love seeing what my network comments on things. Like, oftentimes I will find out about something because it will be like, Katie Boysen commented on this, and I read your comment, and one of the many reasons I said yes to this podcast, I loved your vibe. You're authentic, you're relatable, you're likable, you have a vibe. Even how you reached out to me, I was like, okay, she's good people. But like, part of that is the way you comment, the tone in your LinkedIn post. Like, I hate being told what to write in like a paid LinkedIn post. I'm like, we're not going to do this, right? It doesn't sound like me, doesn't feel like me. I know we got to get the messages across, but truly, employers will see that. And I remember there were a lot of LinkedIn posts basically just bashing the industry and recruiters. Like, you ghosted me, this is bullshit. And recruiters were like, other recruiters will see this. I know you're upset. Take your emotions offline. You're leaving a footprint. Like, there were so many instances where like anything you say, I love giving a little Easter egg or zinger, in some comments that like I'm not going to post myself, but you got to be careful, right? Like, that is your digital imprint. And people will be able to like tell your voice. Like, my voice alone, you should not hire me as a crisis comms manager. I'm not poised. I'm not going to walk in and be like, it's going to be okay. I'm going to walk in and be like, holy shit. Right. So like, don't hire me as your crisis communicator.
Yeah, no, I would definitely like have the air horn out running through the hallway.
Fun fact, I got fired as the fire marshal when I was on the agency side because we had like a crisis, and my co-fire marshal, warden, and I literally ran down the hallway saying, everybody exit the building, and then took the elevator down. So like, 2 absolute fouls, and we were immediately removed from our posts.
Oh my God. I have a story where anyone that knows me knows Phil. Like, Phil was my longtime roommate in San Francisco. Like, shout out to Phil. He put up with a lot. And one time we had that huge earthquake in Napa that like took down wineries. Like, our apartment was like 100 years old, and the wall actually like bowed from that earthquake.
Nope.
And so during that earthquake, I sat up in the middle of the night and I was like, there's an earthquake. And I ran down the hallway and yelled to Phil in his room, there's an earthquake. And then I just ran back down the hallway to my room. And by the time I got back to my room, the earthquake was over. And Phil just yelled from his bedroom. He's like, your survival instincts are shit.
He probably didn't even get up from under the covers.
No, probably not.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, do not hire me as your crisis comms. But I mean, I think like the thing is like you will have your tone, you will have your vibe. Like, that comes naturally. But for folks just starting in, yes, if you're like brand new to comms, you haven't really established that because you're
Yeah.
1 or 2 years out of school. One thing I ask clients, literally, I was doing the social media for a tech company, 6 male executives, and I said, "What's your vibe? What's your tone? Do you want to be conservative? Do
Yeah.
you want to, be whimsical? Do you want to be philosophical?" Like those are questions because I need to understand like the tone that they want to come off, right?
Yeah.
Like fun do you want to be? Like, Corey Marcia Soto, CMO of Elf Beauty. I love her LinkedIn post because of, her tone, and like it feels like her, and it feels fun and exciting and bold and on brand, right?
Yep.
Whereas complete opposite, Doug McMillan, one of the best CEOs of our time, actually just announced he's going to be retiring. And he was an executive that I used as a case study for other CEOs, because even when he was talking about earnings, which is so boring, the way he did it was so authentic, right? Like he sat there on Sam Walton's desk in that office and genuinely thanked associates, and he was so calm and cool and
Mhm.
collected and did it with such grace. He was such a case study. There's other CEOs that Richard Dixon from Gap, I think, does a really nice job too, and is really helping bring Gap back. Not every CEO should be on video. I will not.
That's
Not
so
every
true.
CEO should be on video. Not every comms plan needs to be the same. You can use that as the genesis of like, this works really well, this isn't a way to do it. But if your executive just comes off, uncertain or unconfident, especially your CEO, do
Yeah.
not do that. That's the worst thing that you can do, right? So like, we as comms people cannot say, video is the future, your executive must do video, Substacks are the new media, pitch. So it's gotta resonate. This goes back to the audience thing. It's gotta resonate for
Yeah.
your audience, for the client's audience, for the brand's audience, for the executive audience, right? Like you can take all of this information and insight and use it to make you smarter and more well-rounded, but it's on you as a comms professional to understand what works best for you, your client, your exec, your situation.
Yep. I think that's a great point, because that's something that I'll also do with my clients is I'll start to get a vibe for them before I start to think about, on our owned channels, what type of owned content do I want this type of executive to be doing? Um where are the opportunities from like a speaking perspective based on this person's vibe? Like you've got to assess what their
Yeah,
strengths are going to be
correct.
and play to that. Absolutely.
Yep.
So, from a journalist standpoint, let's kind of jump back into the world of journalism.
Sure. I'll stay there all day.
Thank you. What are some of, maybe not complaints? I don't think that's a really nice word. I don't think journalists are like going out of their way to like complain about PR people, or maybe they are. Who knows? Maybe I'm just like not in with the in crowd. But like, what do you hear from journalists about PR professionals that we acknowledge but refuse to change? Like, is there something that journalists keep asking that like we are just not doing, or it appears like we're not doing?
So there's so many things that irk them. Actually, Josh Rivera at USA Today, he's a travel and trends reporter. He's great. I interviewed him. He has he has a Substack worst pitch of the week, and
No, that's so
yeah,
mean.
yeah, but he's not. He's a really nice guy. He's actually a really cool guy. But he does it as an educational thing. He definitely crosses out their name and all of
Oh,
that.
good. Okay, that makes
But
sense.
he no, he's actually a really cool guy. And I found him on LinkedIn because I was responding to his worst pitch of the week, and I was like, oh my god! And I actually pitched him in the LinkedIn comments, like, Josh, we need you, and he was like, that's extreme, but I'm interested. And we had a great interview. But he does the worst pitch of the week, and it's really like the same way that journalists used to put a screenshot on X. Remember, people
Oh
used to,
yeah,
or Twitter all the time. You're
brutal.
like, oh my god, right?
Yeah,
Hi XXX, or dear, different font, different typography, different color name, and you're like, for fuck's sake, guys, like literally
yeah,
highlight the whole thing, Arial 12 black. Like I still have to remind myself to do it because I don't want to do that. I
yeah,
think it still bothers folks when you're so persistent to the point of like you don't let go. Carly Martinetti, founder of Notably, did a great post for me, and she talked about like how many times is okay to follow up, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I'm usually like first pitch, follow up. If I do a third, my third literally says, I will not be reaching out again. Wishing you all, like, I will tell them, like, this is closing the loop. If
Yeah.
you are pitching someone for a third time and you're not acknowledging, like, hey, sorry to be a bug and bother, this is the last time I'm going to reach out, I'm going to take this as a cue to move on, that pisses them off so much. They will blacklist you from their inbox. Like, I've had a lot of reporters tell me they get so frustrated that if someone is excessively reaching out, they will blacklist. The
Yeah.
other thing that bothers reporters too, and we talked about this, just long pitches, right? They really can't get through a super lengthy pitch. So oftentimes descriptive subject line, 1 or 2 sentences, 3 bullets max, and also be available. A big pet peeve of reporters is when you offer something and then you either retract it or you can't deliver on it. Like, hey, like, you want this? Yeah. Is your exec available, like, tomorrow for 15 minutes? No. In 2 weeks on December 13th at 4 p.m. Pacific. They're like, why would you reach out to me now and offer that?
That would be so annoying.
That's so super annoying, right?
Yeah.
So don't over pitch them. Take a hint. They don't respond. It's okay to follow up, but if you're going to do that third follow up, let them know, like, you will not reach out again if you don't hear from them, and move, keep stepping. Keep your pitches short, descriptive subject lines, and then follow through. If you are going to offer something, be able to deliver on that. This goes to another point. You asked me a question earlier, like good relationship building. This even happened to me recently. Secured, on background meeting, and it happens, right? We were in New York City, like, you're not going to be able to make it. Had to cancel. You better find a way to make that up. So if you're going to cancel that meeting, I, as the PR person and as a consultant, reached out and I said, I am so sorry that we had to cancel this. Can't avoid New York City traffic. Let me make it up to you. I have this, and this source. Let me know if they're going to be the right fit for the story that you're trying to do.
Nice.
I will literally find them a source come hell or high water. I was working with, it used to be Jacqueline Lorian Yates. She used to be at Good Morning America. I was pitching her for a dermatologist source that she needed. She was like, I need another source in order to run this. I did a LinkedIn post. Good Morning America is looking for a dermatologist source. First person to come to me gets it. I literally had some person I had never met on LinkedIn reach out to me first, so he got it. We had a 30-minute phone call. I said, you are going to write me a pitch. It's going to be this long. It's going to include this with a link, with this, with this. Did it. We both got included in the story. He looked like a superstar. I let him take all the credit. We remained friends. We hype each other up on LinkedIn.
I love that.
EMA story. And I gave her the 2 sources she need. I will always, if I ever see, request for source, Andy Incenzio, good friend of mine. I love her. I respect her so much at the Associated Press. She is always looking for sources on LinkedIn. I will always repost her.
Yeah.
And she's always looking. And one thing to know about Anne, which she shared in the interview, which I find fascinating, Anne, who's been in journalism for 25 years, loves LinkedIn and will post her story on LinkedIn. And she told me, I will have a CEO comment, interesting story. Have you thought of it from this perspective? And she will then reach out to that CEO and be like, I haven't. Would you like to comment on it? And all of a sudden, that CEO has become a source for her. So again, this goes back to, this is the trickle effect, all kind of coming full circle. Build your LinkedIn dossier of reporters that either are your niche, your client, your brand, all of that. You've got to build that, dossier of reporters. Yep. Engage with their content, share their post, tag someone, give them a recommendation, right? They will appreciate that. Allison Carter is another one who literally last week said to me, she is like a LinkedIn superstar. Yeah. Like 40,000 followers. I'm like, go girl. She is super active on LinkedIn and she is constantly putting out thought-provoking LinkedIn posts, and PR people are like salivating responding because they want to be included in one of her stories. Her, Diana Bradley at PR Week, Eleanor Hawkins, Nicole Schumann at PR News, they're fantastic. They are all saying, hey, here's the topic, comment for a chance to be featured in X publication, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. It's the comment dialogue box is fascinating, but what Allison always says is, if I am constantly seeing you in my comment box on LinkedIn, I am more likely to make the connection when you pitch me an email.
100%.
Hello. Yeah. So like name familiarity. It's also why I never changed. I got married. I'm still married. And I changed my last name legally, but I kept Meredith Klein because I'm like, the hell? I spent 20 years building this name. I'm not changing my name.
Yeah, no one's going to know who Katie Lawless is if I try to go back out into the scene, sadly.
Oh, but that's still a good name.
Isn't it such a...
I love my married last name, but still have MK initials, but it's not Meredith Klein. It's not Katie Boysen, and I think like that's the thing. So again, LinkedIn, engage with their content. They will literally use you as a source. They will literally remember your name in the inbox.
That's a great tip.
It's unbelievable.
I know that this is going to pull a hot take out of you, and so I want to ask you this one.
Oh, okay. I know what we're talking about. Oop, here we go. You're setting me off. 3, 2, 1. All right. There is a divide of comms folks. Half the folks are like, relationships don't matter. It's the story. The other half are relationships are bust. Neither of them are wrong, right? Like, relationships are critically important, but if you don't have a good story, you're not going to get a story, right? And what I always say is I have a ton of, like, I literally will get emails like, oh, can you introduce me to Stephanie Mehta? I'm like, not unless you have something good, right? Because I'm pulling that ticket with Stephanie Mehta on a nothing burger. So I think the biggest thing is, like, no one's wrong. I do hate when people say relationships don't matter because I don't agree with that. But I also cannot have a relationship with a reporter, but if I got a banger story, they're going to respond to me. Yeah. That said, it is harder in today's day and age with less and less people in a traditional newsroom, reporters being super spread across beats. They're freaking out that they're going to get laid off. They're being told they have to build a personal brand. They don't have time for all of this, right? Yeah. It is easier to get a good story in front of a reporter if you have a relationship. I am a text pitcher. I almost never send an email pitch. My first pitch is via text. That's just how I am with reporters I know. And if I can't text them like a really catchy 1 to 2 lines, then I know I don't have the right pitch for them. I literally pitched my producer friend at Bloomberg TV last night, and he was like, send it over. So now I will send him an email and be like, per our text conversation, here's the pitch, right? We'll go from there. One of the biggest things is I literally will ask reporters, like, how can we pitch you? Zoya Hassan from Forbes loves Instagram. Don Midori Davis from TechCrunch loves Instagram. Hayden Field from The Verge loves Instagram. Andy Incenzio loves LinkedIn. A lot of people are still email or bust. And unfortunately, Twitter becoming X, like nobody really uses that anymore. And
which is crazy to me because I feel like there's a lot of like founder and like VC chatter on X, but not a lot of journalists. And you think they
So I've been told Instagram is kind of like the new like Twitter X, like reporters like are like open to that. LinkedIn's good. I've also been told like there's a lot of WhatsApp chats between folks. And then you've got like Reddit's like a big forum. I'm not a huge Reddit girl, but like there's definitely like a lot of like gold in there. But truly the way that you're reaching out to these reporters, if I have a relationship, I will reach out to a reporter and say, I'm not sure where to take this story. Who should I take it to? What do you think I need? I will never guarantee coverage. I will always guarantee feedback. So the relationships, people will be like, all right, what does Meredith have to say? Okay. They will read my pitch or read my text or respond because of the relationship. I am never promising or guaranteeing coverage based on a relationship. You've got to have the story. So that whole like, It's a story, stupid. No, you have to have the relationships. It's like, actually, both would be great. You still absolutely can get a banger piece without a relationship and a good story. 100%. People do that all the time. Before you have the relationship, you need the story, right? Like, that's just how it works. But having the relationship, you are more apt to more quickly get a response on, this is good, this is not for me, this needs this, or hey, Katie, like, you should meet John. He would be great for the story. I get passed along all the time. I get feedback. My clients are like, oh my God, you heard from everyone. It's like, yeah, I didn't say we were going to get coverage everywhere, but I can be able to get that and redirect.
Yep. I love that take. I guess the only last thing that I have to ask you is, are you ever dumb in private? Like, do you have a dumb in private that you want to share with everyone?
Oh my God. I shouldn't even say this, but truly, like, if you think about, like, what are the words used to describe you? My three words are not, smart is not one of the three words, right?
Oh, I doubt that.
I'm energetic, I'm optimistic, I'm tenacious, right? I'm sure smart might come up, but it's certainly not in the top three because I have always been more of a personality. I've always been more of this charismatic ball of energy, super authentic, like gonna help you out, gonna hype you up. So for me, I hate the term there are no dumb questions, but the truth is there are no smart questions unless there are dumb questions. And one of my biggest pet peeves is people who ask these flowery, large word language questions that, like, they just want to hear themselves speak and they already know the answer, or it's like they just said it so they can say it. I can't stand that. Give me someone who's like, okay, so how do you do this? And I'm interested because they genuinely are wanting to understand the working of how to do it. So I will take tactic in that situation of like, don't ask me this flowery strategy question. Ask me a tactical question because I know that you genuinely are going to take action on it. You're not just like trying to hear yourself speak.
Yep, I love that. I feel like that version that I hate is the person that goes into your Google Doc and like just adds little tweaks so that people can see the track changes with their name in it. And you're like, this was
Ew.
fine and it didn't
But you
need
know what
you.
I hate more than that? I prefer direct edits. People that comment and don't actually like do the work. They're like, maybe update this and add more professional language around this, or talk about the importance of cloud. I'm like, can you actually like do some work for this? Like, I don't like when people don't actually like put in the work. They're just kind of giving high level fluffy direction. Like, I'm like, okay, like could you actually write this? And
We're the
don't even
same.
get me started on like some senior folks that like couldn't actually do the work. Love talking about it, love being that kind of talking head and saying this and saying that. The paper pushers of the world, right? Could you actually get this done? And my last thing I would say, there's been a lot of talk of the evolution of media, the evolution of comms. In 2024, I was seeing a lot of like, is the media relations professional still there, or is it really everyone's so obsessed with public affairs, public policy? And I'm like, ask any client who is coming to a PR agency what their top three is. Media is in that no matter what. Yes, you need someone who can write a message map and core messaging. Maybe you're going to a PR agency for crisis. Maybe you're going to them for internal comms. But honestly, I would hearken to say 9 out of 10 are going for the media. So those media skills better be sharp. You better have folks on your team. You better not get too senior to the point where you can't even pick up the phone and throw a Hail Mary. Because things are happening. People are getting laid off after 25 years in the same role. What are you going to do? Get your house together, get your network up, keep your skills sharp.
I love that. Meredith, thank you so much for joining us. Like, I feel like this conversation could have gone on for like 6 hours. I know I feel like I say that every time, but I just genuinely mean it. Like, the value that you bring to the community and what you're doing and educating us with reporters and really putting yourself out there, showing us what courage means, showing us what authenticity means. Like, I just think there's so much room that needs to hold space for that in the comms community. And we're just all so grateful. I know I speak on behalf of everyone that you came along and showed us that. So thank you so much.
You're gonna make me emotional. That was incredibly beautiful. Thank you, Katie. I was so excited and honored for you to reach out to me. I love what you're doing, what you and Katie are doing with Smart and Public. You've had some incredible guests. No doubt you're gonna have people knocking down your door, more and wanting to be on. So you girls are really creating space for comms professionals to have the opportunity to make others smarter. And I think that's the thing. Like, no gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Let's stop being competitive and cringe. Like, let's be genuinely happy. There's enough room for everyone. We can all sparkle. We can all have a seat at the table.
Yep.
Stop clout baiting and let's just support each other. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, our absolute pleasure. And for anyone that has a guest suggestion or a recommendation or a topic recommendation, you can reach out to hello@smartandpublicpod.com. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube. We're everywhere at Smart and Public Pod. And looking forward to chatting with you guys next week. Thanks, Mare.
Thanks.